All right. How's it going, everybody? It's good to be back live again. Unfortunately, it's just me tonight. My wife was going to join, but my daughter is in cheerleading right now. So right now she's in full cheer mom mode. So she has not had the energy to join me this time, but she will be here next time. So it's just me, unfortunately. Um, so I just released a video on the Delphi murders. I know I pronounced it wrong on the video. Everybody's been reminding me of that, and it's pretty interesting. So at some point, you all should check that out if you have not yet. Um, so we're going to talk about all sorts of stuff today, and whatever you guys, as always, whatever y'all want to talk about, we'll jump right into. It's great to see everybody here, and we'll be talking about just anything and everything that comes to mind for you guys. Hey, Lennon38, how's it going? Jen says hello to everyone. I say hello to everyone right back. So let's see here. So where do we want to start, y'all? We can really get into just about anything. Obviously, I've spent a lot of time watching Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt for the past couple of weeks, and I'm working on another video that I was going to release today, but I just wasn't able to finish it, so that'll be coming out tomorrow. There's so many Connexions videos to continue watching. There's so much stuff, and it's just the things they say are always so wild. I heard from somebody who told me that Jodi Hildebrandt wrote a book, and I want to at least skim some of that to get some idea, but I have not had a chance to do that yet because I'm sure that there's some stuff in there that's interesting. Let's see. Lori said hello from Colorado. Hi, right back. Adam said I just watched it. I presume you're referring to my to the Delphi murders video, which is interestingly, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but there's some interesting points I want to make about that. Let's see here. So I want to just say hello to some of these folks. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Tommy. Hi, Buffle Waffle. Let's see here. Hi from Oklahoma. Hey, hello from Georgia. And New Zealand is here. Let's see, in New Zealand, what time is it? Like 7 a.m. or something like that? It would be early over there, I think. All right. Hello from New York. Hey, Emily. Let's see. Shalom from Mississippi Gulf Coast. How's it going, Spiritual Sniper? All right. So, the book is called "You Are." Is that right? The book is "You Are Not Enough," or "You Are Not Enough," or is that? Okay, I'll look it up. Either way, I'm gonna check this out. Hidden True Crimes has her book and went over it. Okay, interesting. All right. Well, I'll have to get to check it out myself and see if I can sort of put my own spin on it. I'm familiar with this, guys, but I haven't seen that video. Let's see. Jennifer said, "Hi, Dr. G. So excited to catch you live. I have a list for you." Oh, great. Hey, you know what? Whatever y'all got, throw it at me. And I'm excited that you're here too. It's always hard to know how to time these lives. That's one of the biggest challenges because I want as many people for it to be convenient for as many people as possible. And I can kind of do it whenever I want, unless I'm working, of course. But I'm going to be flexible on these times. So as time goes forward, if there's other times that are better for people and all that kind of stuff, then we'll continue to adjust what time works best for people. Let's see here. Marie Moss from South Carolina. I've lived in a lot of southern states. South Carolina is the one I was actually born in, but I moved when I was fairly little to North Carolina. So, and now I'm in Georgia, just to be clear. Let's see here. Dr. G explains, have you seen the video Take Care of Maya? I have not seen that video, but I actually have no idea what it is, but I can look it up if you think it's something that's worth me checking out. So yeah, I'll see. I don't know what that is, but I'll look it up. It's 11:03 in New Zealand. Oh wow, okay. My calculations were way off. I just watched a UFC event that was in Australia, and I was completely off at what times or what. So anyway, Debbie Blair says, love lives where you can ask live questions. Yeah, aside from the fact that I want a slight delay because I use this thing called StreamYard, so the questions I see are always a couple of minutes behind. But yes, I will answer them as live as I possibly can. But please, yeah, whatever questions y'all got, it doesn't matter if it's related to the stuff that I mentioned or anything really. I mean, that's kind of the fun of this, is that we can just talk about whatever. Spiritual. Thank you for providing free therapy. Way better than filmography. Yeah. So if this is therapeutic, then great. Let's make it therapeutic for everybody. Um, all right. ATS. How many psychopaths in the real world around us and can cause them / trigger them to harm people? Sometimes I meet weird people. I assume maybe they have psychopath symptoms. Okay. So psychopath, it's a little bit tough in terms of describing the actual percentage of people that are psychopaths, because psychopath technically is not a real diagnosis. It's just a cluster of behaviors that we tend to describe. It's sort of a layman's term, but we use it clinically, like when we're talking about it, but it's not like it's not an actual diagnosis. But in terms of the percentage of people that are real psychopaths, the best estimate is probably between 0.5% and 1% of the population. So that's between every 100 to 200 people. So they're pretty common. You're going to be around them a lot. As far as what triggers them to harm people, that one, there's a lot of factors that go into that, because there's plenty of psychopaths that just have jobs and they're just mean and difficult people, or awful to people in their relationships. But there's a whole litany of issues that can cause them to break, and usually it's related to how that, well, let me restate that. Oftentimes the people that are going to do real harm, like Ted Bundy, like those kinds of folks, are oftentimes born that way, and there may be a few environmental factors that push it, but generally speaking, it's it's just that their neurology is the biggest factor in it. They'll oftentimes, last thing, and then we'll move on. They'll oftentimes explain a million reasons why they have done what they've done. But that's one of the problems with psychopaths, is they genuinely believe themselves to be victims. Even if they victimize everybody else, they see themselves as victims. So they will tell you very convincingly, yeah, like these are all the things that have happened and all these people that have treated me poorly. And it's not always true, actually. A lot of research shows that psychopaths have the same rate of being abused as the rest of the population, that kind of stuff. So let's see here. Midnight here in the UK, but that's okay. I don't sleep until 2 a.m. Yeah, I actually go to bed about 1:30 every night. So I'm a late night kind of person. I'm always working on something. Let's see here. Hey, 13th jurors. Yeah, I hope there's some of the 13th jurors here. But, for those of you that didn't see, I was recently on Brandy Churchwell's channel, and that was awesome. And so, I hope that her and I can do that again. I know that's sort of a redneck. I know saying her and I may be sort of a redneck way to say it, but that's what I'm used to, and people always pick on me for phrasing it that way. But hopefully Brandy Churchwell and I can do something again together soon. Let's see here. What do you think of the show Mindhunter? It was interesting. I actually talked about this on the last live. I haven't watched all of it because it's hard for me. For some reason, I struggle watching fictional versions of this stuff. Like it creeps me out a lot more than the real thing. I know that sounds really weird. So I haven't actually fully finished the show Mindhunter. What I saw of it was interesting, but I'm usually, after a long day of watching true crime, I'm in the mood to watch something really stupid. So usually I just watch dumb stuff at night, honestly. Let's see. New member Jennifer Castaldi. Well, welcome. Let's see here. All right, so take care of Maya. Currently a civil case against a hospital. Maya's mother took her own life after what appeared to be a false CPS allegation. Looks like a real sad case. Oh, no, that's okay. I'll have to look into that one. That sounds tragic, but interesting. So thanks, Mr. Upper Torso. I will check that out. Australia is 3 hours behind us in New Zealand. So you're fine. Oh, see, this is why my geography is so bad. I would not have guessed that it was that many time zones between y'all. Scottish Warrior said, hi, I'm from East Coast Canada. Can you do a body analysis on my neighbor? I'm not sure if they like me or not. Thanks. Joking aside, I love your content. People do ask me a lot about how can you tell, like, if somebody likes you, or how do you use body language to show that you like them? And open body language is a big tell that somebody at least wants to at least wants to engage with you. That doesn't mean they're romantically interested in you, but them being open and vulnerable around you certainly would be a good sign if that's the way that they communicate with you. So, and you want to reciprocate that. You want to have open body language as well, because they will feel more connected to you that way. Once again, not always the best way to gauge romantic interest, but it's a good way to engage whether or not they're interested in talking to you or want to communicate with you. Let's see. Adriana Fulbright said, I can't believe Ruby is isolating the son that escaped now by blaming him for horrible things. Yeah, that's a tough one. Because when we look at the videos where they talk about sex and they have some pretty weird stuff to say about it. And I'll tell you, there are things I didn't include from that video because it just was, I didn't want to make people watching my video uncomfortable. Like actually the sentence that led up to the one before the one I showed is actually kind of worse. Point being is that something that Jesse had talked about, Jodi Hildebrandt's niece, they had basically said that they like made them admit to things and that there were a lot of allegations that they made against them and all of this stuff. So, this is going to be a really complicated one to try to untangle. I feel awful for all of the kids involved in this, the siblings, everybody. This is just an unbelievably tragic situation. Julie F. said, loved his channel. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Lisa Moore said, Doc, have you heard of the prolific artist Reynard Singa, who drugged and assaulted hundreds of men in Manchester, UK? I'd love to hear an analysis of it. I have not. So, I just realized. Sorry, my brain is just now filling in what you're saying. Yeah, okay. So Reynard Singa is known for assaulting people. I'll have to look into him. I'm actually not familiar with Reynard Singa. Sinaga, sorry. Let's see. So Tommy Jones saying, Adam on sidebar, quite interesting. I'm sure he exposed a lot more in the Mormon podcast. So I assume you're referring to the person who basically had said that Jodi Hildebrandt broke confidentiality and like told, if I remember right, if I understood the story right, because I haven't watched all of this, she basically told the congregation about his personal details, like his therapeutic stuff, or like sort of reported him for something, and that got her license suspended. But that can absolutely ruin somebody's life. As a therapist, we take confidentiality so seriously. So that's such a red flag for me when I would hear just the idea of a therapist going and like knowing somebody's personal information and going and like reporting it to somebody. So I still need to watch that podcast. Part of the reason that I haven't yet is because we know that what he said is true. Like that's proven. So oftentimes I'm trying to talk more about people who people aren't so sure about, or if there's cases where there are things that are a little more ambiguous. But I don't think there's any question that the things that he said are entirely true. See, Patches said, always here for you, Dr. G. I appreciate it, Patches. Thank you. All right. So, Dr. G, so besides the work you do, what do you like to do in your off time, not including YouTube? Yeah, that's a good question. So, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I box. So I spend the vast majority of my time exercising, doing things like that. I hang out with my kids, really, is what I spend most of my time doing. So any free time I have when I'm not doing that, it's either hanging out with my kids, playing video, they play a lot of video games. So I hang out with them doing that, or whatever it is that they want to do, going outside, exercising, whatever it is. So that's a lot of my free time. I don't have a lot of free time though, so I could make more. My wife constantly wants me to, but I just So my off time is oftentimes watching a little TV, playing games with my kids, and mostly boxing and that kind of thing. I watch a lot of UFC as well. Let's see. Calendar Page said, I just finished your video on the Druid nonsense. Great information. I hope a lot of people see it. I do too. And one thing that I was going to mention earlier that's fascinating to me is that that video and the likes versus dislikes doesn't make a huge difference to me, but this one has dramatically more dislikes than my average video, which surprised me. I kind of thought that it would be one that most people would like, but I think there's a certain percentage of people that really don't like me saying that it's not some sort of weird cult ritual sacrifice, which I feel 100% certain that it's not. But it seems that information bothers more people than I would expected. I like the video. I think it's pretty good. I hope you guys too. I hope all of you do too. Let's see. Linda said, Dr. G is so awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. So are you. Let's see. Dr. G, have you seen the interview with Ruby's cousin? They say the abuse is multi-generational. So I have not seen that one. I haven't seen anything. Okay. I was thinking of Jodi's niece. So no, I have not watched the one with Ruby's cousin. I'll have to check that out. There's so many interviews out there that I still have yet to watch. I think that there have been some siblings, like I think Ruby's sisters have talked. There's a lot of stuff that I still need to catch up on. Let's see. see, Jennifer asked, what are your thoughts on the Delphi? I keep wanting to say Delphi. I really don't know why. What are your thoughts on the Delphi sketches? I saw your earlier analysis. Uh, sketches, it's always tough. I mean, there's one of them that certainly looks like it could be Richard Allen, and the other guy, yeah, who knows? Like, it's always hard to know how much stock you can really put into the police sketches and all of that. So I haven't spent a lot of time analyzing the police sketches. I've just sort of glanced at them. So I don't have a strong opinion about those. I'll probably check those out in more detail in the future and give you a better answer. Let's see. All right. Michelle Johnson, what percentage of narcissists commit crimes? That's a good question. I don't know if we know what that is. I think that the percentage of criminals that are narcissists is definitely more than the average population. So I don't know what percentage of narcissists commit crimes, but I think a higher percentage of criminals are narcissists, if that makes sense. Let's see. Kristen Worry asked, have you provided therapy for psychopathic individuals? If so, what would it look like? I have, actually. I've had to tell people that I believe that they're psychopaths that didn't know it. So, I have definitely tried to do therapy with those folks. It doesn't work very well. So typically, psychopaths, sometimes they'll come in as part of a couple, for example. And so oftentimes, in terms of what the therapy looks like, there's different ways you can do therapy to help people build insight. It's very long and complicated and difficult, and everybody hates it. It's not fun for me. It's not fun for the patients either. But it can help people build those connections to start to get a little bit more insightful. As far as it would probably take too long for me to explain in great detail about exactly specifically what you do. I mean, you can do therapy with psychopaths, but it doesn't typically work very well. Works about as well, maybe slightly less than you're going to get out of working with narcissists. Narcissists, you can make some progress sometimes, but that's tough too. Let's see. Don't you think that Richard Allen's defense comes across like the 1980s satanic video lady in the UK? She was Mary Whitehouse. The first thing I thought of when I started reading about this is the whole satanic panic stuff back in the 80s. I mean, that's very much what it felt like to me. Kay Scarpetta said, hello, Dr. G. I really enjoy your videos and thank you for doing these live. So exciting. Hey, all RA friends. Yeah, I hope some friends from RA, 13th Juror. I hope that there's lots of folks in here that we know. So, oh, hey, recovery addict, you're here. All right. I just like I said, I'm a little behind, but it's great that you're here. Thanks for joining us. And for anybody who's watching this that likes my videos that is not currently subscribed to Recovery Addict, I'm telling you, some of the best live coverage, not just on YouTube, but literally anywhere. For anybody that saw Recovery Addict's coverage of the guy who just got caught, it's towards the end of a long week, so I can't remember his name right now. I even did a video on this guy, but the guy that was in Pennsylvania that just got caught, his footage of that was like literally like it's some of the best live TV or streaming that I've ever seen. It was so good. So I'm so glad that you're here, Recovery Addict. I appreciate every time we get to chat and interact, and we need to do something together soon. We really, really do. I mean that. Let's see what he said. Shout out to Dr. G. How's it going, Waddy? All right. Hi, everyone. Question. Do you think Hildebeest or Hildebrandt is obsessed with sex? Is she a sadist? Well, somebody is projecting a lot of sex into things where it isn't there. So whether she's obsessed with sex or she has issues with being repressed, I don't know what her deal is, but she certainly seems to see it where it is not. The idea that like organizing things is somehow sexual. Well, if you listen to that episode or whatever you want to call it on Facebook, because that's where all their stuff is still up. It's wild. I mean, basically they say anytime you're creating anything, it's sexual. And it's such a bizarre and distorted way to look at that. But part of the reason that people get obsessed with these kinds of things is because it helps with control. The idea that if you can all of a sudden say anything is sexual, then you can say, okay, well, that's sexual and that's not allowed. Therefore, I can restrict anything and everything you do. It's just a way to control people. It's not really about sex, but whether it's their own repressed feelings, whether it's their own obsession with it, it more than anything, when it's with other people, they know better. Like they know that stuff's not sexual, but it gives them the power to say, okay, well, because any feeling you have that's positive is sexual. Therefore, you cannot have privacy, whatever it is. Just a way to maintain absolute control. Um, See, Carol C said, Dr. G, I'm 17 years sober. This changes everything. How much does alcohol abuse change the brain? Well, congratulations on being 17 years sober. That's amazing. Um, Alcohol abuse, I mean, there's so many factors that can go into it. I know plenty of people that have abused alcohol for many, many years. Um, and it can't just there's too many factors for me to say how much it changes the brain. It can affect the brain, but oftentimes, the we recover pretty well from it once you get some time away from it. After a number of years, that there may be some lingering effects, but generally speaking, like, people recover pretty well from it. So congratulations, that's wonderful. Let's see here. Mm. All right, sorry, I'm getting way behind on the comments, so I'm going to scroll a little farther forward. So if I miss anything, guys, feel free to repeat. I do apologize. Let's see here. Michelle Johnson asked, Dr. G, are you going to do another course on reading someone's body language? Yeah, I plan to. It's tough though, because the way that I do it is I have one that's like completely uploaded where you can just watch it, and then I have live portions of it. The one where you can just watch it all at your own pace, that's actually currently up, and that's still up. But the one where I do parts that are live, I don't know when I'm going to do that again. I'm always trying to juggle my time. So I'll do it again at some point. I'll let y'all know when I do. I don't know when that's going to be though. I love doing it though. That's the thing, is I love interacting with folks that take the course. It's a lot of fun. It's just hard to find the time to do it. Let's see here. See, Lisa Moore said, just finished watching the Jodi Hildebrandt interview. She is they are so brave and courageous. Yeah, no, I agree. Very much so. It was the embarrassment and the humiliation that can come with having to sort of acknowledge some of the things that they talked about on that interview would be hard for anybody. So yeah, very, very brave, very courageous, and very appreciated for all of us to be able to get more of a real idea of what that was like. Mr. Repertoire. So props to Dr. G for remembering Jesse's pronouns. It's an easy thing to forget. Yeah, I didn't. I messed that up on the video, but people have been pretty understanding about that, fortunately. See, Dale Wing asked, did you hear about search warrants at Jodi H's? Cayenne and honey paste, handcuffs and rope. I was just reading about that. My wife was telling me about that, and that is going to be the cayenne and honey paste. Like, if that is all true, like if that stuff is real, we got a lot to talk about, guys. That is bad news. That's very bad news. Let's see. So where did you do your education? What do you ask? So I went to several schools. I got my undergrad from the University of Georgia, got my first master's degree from Georgia Southern University, and then I got my second master's degree, my MBA, and I'm sorry. I got my MBA also at Georgia Southern, and then I got my doctorate at the Georgia School of Professional Psychology, and then I also did a counterterrorism program. I keep learning, so I keep going places. But UGA was where I got my initial degree. So, see, I'm not going to butcher your name, but hi, Dr. G, fellow clinical psychologist here. Just finished my last therapy client of the day and was pleasantly surprised to catch you live. Well, welcome. It's wonderful to see another psychologist joining us for all of this. It's there's really not that many of us out there, really. When you look at the numbers, like it's becoming a psychologist is hard, y'all. Like, it is really hard, and there's just not that many programs that offer doctorates in psychology that are APA accredited, where you can get licensed to become a psychologist. So there's really not that many of us out here. So it's cool to see one in the wild. Let's see here. See, Dr. G, have you done an eval on the behavior of Henry Dinkins? I have not, actually, but I've added that to the list. I've got a running list of ones to do, and that's on there. So let me give some more thoughts on the pepper and honey, because now that y'all are mentioning that, So, if you think about there's part of our brains as adults that we are like inherently caring towards children. Like if our brains are functioning correctly, doesn't mean you have to love being around kids all the time. But when we see a child in pain or one that's like falling off their bike or something, there's part of our brain that goes that connects with that and wants to help. Like that's we have a protective role. So when the idea of an adult, whether Jodi Hildebrandt did this or if it was or whatever, like just let's just say somebody did this, and the idea of putting cayenne pepper and honey on a wound for somebody, like that takes a truly deranged mind. That is sadism at its purest, and just such an awful, unspeakable thing to do to somebody. I mean, the idea of doing that and inevitably gaining some kind of joy from it, like it's so hard to relate to the desire to to hurt somebody in that way, especially for somebody to hurt a child in that way. It's just unbelievable. And not that gender has that much to do with it, but I do think in some ways like that women have more protection against being like this. So the idea of a woman perpetrating that makes it even harder. It's even worse in some ways. It's just unbelievable to me. I shouldn't say unbelievable. There's a lot of stuff that that should be unbelievable and it's not, but it's just horrible, I guess, is how I should say it. Um, let's see here. So Mr. Orpatorsa said Jodi seems to have a pattern of breaking up marriages, turning the wife against the husband and icing him out. Very much life ruining for someone with a tight community. If Jodi is in fact sadistic, that would not be shocking. Having a therapist who is also sadistic, I cannot even fathom the depth of pain they can cause people. Because if we want to be manipulative and want to be hurtful, I'm sure we could be. I mean, as a therapist who really values people feeling good, caring about folks, like I don't think like that, but I'm sure if I was enjoyed people's pain, I'm sure there's all sorts of awful things that one could do as a therapist. So the idea, if the allegations against her are true, we're going to be hearing a lot of stories over the next while. We really will. Let's see. Seems like Russell Franke's body language gives off fear and resentment to his mom, rightfully so. I haven't really analyzed the kids as much. Part of that is just because they're kids, so that's part of the reason I've not used their old vlogs and all of that kind of stuff. So I actually haven't watched his body language so much. But I'd be curious. I'll probably go and check that out and see what I notice. All right. Dr. G, do you think Jodi and Ruby will try to use the verbal abuse in court towards judge, lawyers, prison guards to manipulate them? If they are in fact as guilty of the things they've been accused of, they're going to trying to manipulate everybody, probably. I mean, that'd be very much how they live. Once again, they're innocent till proven guilty, but if those things are true, then probably. See, SL Connolly, I'm late, but can we talk about Tim Ballard's and our mess that's coming out? Tim Ballard's. Why do I not know that name? Hold on. Give me 1 second. Tim Ballard's. So this is. I actually have not followed a whole lot of his recent stuff. I mean, I know he was the one that did The Sound of Freedom, I think, or was related to that stuff. Y'all are gonna have to give me some details that I'll catch up on in a second, but I don't know a lot about the mess that's coming out right now, actually. Let's see here. Scottish Warrior, when you bring your wife on, could you get a tall stool for her, please? She looks like a person that takes everything in very perceptive. Yeah. I'm gonna definitely try to get her elevated a little bit. We gotta, as I think we mentioned, she's 4'10", so like she probably needs a seat and then like a cushion and another cushion to be at the same level. Because I have this set up for my height because I use it every day. Let's see. Hey, Mona asked, do you have a video on Corey Richins? I'd love any further coverage on Hildebrandt. Frankie, I'm hooked on that for some reason. You know what? I'm hooked on it too. I will watch these videos and afterward, I made a joke on the first video about them that like it's affecting my mental health, but for some reason, like I can watch videos of serial killers all day and I'm okay. Like then I go and have dinner and I'm fine. After watching them, I'm like mentally exhausted. If I hear the words uh, truth or distortion again, it will be too soon. Like seriously, the way that they twist, the way they make words their own words makes you feel a little crazy after a while because they don't use them quite correctly, and it just they make words that mean things that don't make any sense, and then they move different words around and stuff, and it really does kind of affect the way you think watching them too much. So anyway, I'm hooked on analyzing their stuff, so I'm going to keep doing that. I've had two videos on Corey Richins. One, I analyzed the book, no, I analyzed the interview about the book that she released, and then I did one of her in court. But that's all I've done. I plan to do more at some point, but I haven't done anything else yet. Let's see here. All right, Hannah Cash asks, can you see sociopathic behaviors in teenage years? Why won't mental health specialists diagnose APD before 18 years? I mean, you can see sociopathic behaviors when kids are quite young, actually. So yeah, you definitely can see the behaviors in teenage years. And there's something called conduct disorder, which is kind of like a light version of antisocial personality, which is what we oftentimes associate with criminal behavior. And that we diagnose adolescents with that all the time. So people don't diagnose until before 18 for that kind of stuff, typically just because it's such a heavy diagnosis and there's so many changes people are going through. Usually we kind of know where it's headed. There are definitely times where it would be appropriate, but many people hesitate to do that. All right, Dr. G, do you think Frankie Sr. is also responsible for the abuse of his children? I don't know enough about him yet, so it's what I would say is that sometimes when there can be parents that are along for the ride where one parent is, for argument's sake, abusive and the other isn't, and they are kind of gaslit into not seeing it, or they go along with things and don't question it. I mean, so I don't know. I'll have to do more research before I can give that a real answer, but it is possible that he really isn't responsible for the abuse. He probably he went along with some things like withholding Christmas from the kids and stuff. So he definitely has gone along with things that weren't so nice. But I don't know enough about him. I haven't really spent a lot of time watching his interviews and stuff, so I can't say for sure. Let's see here. All right, Sidney Powell, mother stab murder trial prolonged crime verdict came out yesterday and was guilty but not NGRI. I was a little surprised by that, but I don't do forensic psychology. So, Sidney Powell, this is an interesting one for those of you that have or haven't watched Sidney Powell. So she basically stabbed her mother when I think she was like 18. And this one's really complicated. There's certain ones that I can wade into really quickly, and some that I'm a little more hesitant to at first, because this one, it seemed like there were some compelling arguments that she actually was dealing with psychosis. And then there was also a psychologist who basically said she's not, she's malingering. And I couldn't find all of the footage of the psychologist talking. So I couldn't get a good analysis of what happened at the time of the crime. So but based on the challenging part when you have an 18-year-old that does this kind of thing is that typically between like 18 and 21 is when we see people have psychotic breaks, for lack of a better term. That's really when if it's going to happen ever, it will probably, at least for the first time, happen then. So when somebody is 18 and people say, well, we haven't seen a lot of psychotic behavior and that kind of stuff, that's not always shocking because it's usually doesn't flip like a light switch. There's something called a prodromal period where we see it kind of building to that. But I was a little surprised as well, based on the testimony I'd heard from the psychologist. I actually thought they were going to find her not guilty by reason of insanity. But I still need to watch more of that footage because I still haven't found all the stuff that I want to see. It hasn't been. I can't find like the full days long videos covering it. Mr. Opertor, so the Delphi murder is not a cult murder in my opinion, even though they do happen. But the scene is going to be bad. If we've got blood on a tree, it's going to be everywhere. Not a great mental image. Yeah, the argument they're making, though, part of what doesn't make sense is they're saying it's like these white nationalist folks, extremists that are doing it, and it just doesn't. the way the arguments they're trying to make don't quite line up. And, I mean, I talk about this in the video, but basically, uh, white nationalist extremists, or like, some of these folks, uh, definitely have the ability to do like to act to terrorize people and to do awful things, but there's usually an ideological reason behind it. And like that, if some the argument they're making just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. It's not consistent with anything that I know about people that engage in these kind of behaviors. So, um, so Sherry Smith asks, Dr. G, do you think that RA or Richard Allen even fits the profile of doing what was done? I'm sorry, but I really don't. It depends. I don't really. It depends on how much really solid information we have about the guy. So I'm going to reserve judgment on that. I possibly. I mean, it depends on how much accurate information we really have on him at this point. So I'm going to leave that open for now in terms of talking about whether or not I think he did it or didn't or whatever. Um, let's see. So, wow, tell me more about family therapy and psychopaths. All right, so I'll keep this brief, but basically, psychopaths are, I mean, inherently manipulative and while also inherently the victim. They externalize blame to everybody. So if there is a problem, they're really good at explaining why it's somebody else's fault. But they also tend to be sort of unemotional and unavailable. Um, but it's always very sad to do couples therapy with a psychopath because they make the other person feel terrible and they don't feel anything bad about it. So it tends to be really tragic actually. Very sad to do that usually. Um, hey, Mona asked, if you analyze Murdoch's defense team, they come off as untruthful to me. I try not to analyze attorneys as much as possible because it makes them very angry. So I typically don't. Um, Danielle said, and Dr. G, you need a moderator. I would love to be your first. You know what, Danielle? Seriously, I do need a moderator. I really probably should start asking for some help with these things. So anybody that wants to be a moderator, go to my website, Dr. G Explains, and shoot me an email. I would love the help if y'all can do it. So anybody that wants to do that, the offer is wide open for everybody. Except for some of y'all. There's some names I recognize that I wouldn't make my moderators, but none of you guys. All right. So Elizabeth Roberts asked, do you feel the comments made by Jodi and Ruby about Ruby abusing other, or the child abusing other ones, starting at the age of 3 is even credible? Based on what they were saying he was doing at 3, I can't make sense of it because basically they were saying that he was looking at inappropriate stuff um, uh, at the age of 3, and it's like how do you how can a 3-year-old even spell things to look up? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I can't make sense of how that's possible. So, uh, I have a hard time figuring out how that's credible. And I've done a lot of evaluations called psychosexual evaluations, where basically you have to find out somebody's functioning, things that have happened to them, or things they've done to other people. I've had lots of conversations about people with this, and I can't think of anybody where they talk about looking stuff up at the age of 3. So, like, that feels like a stretch to me. But I'll wait till we have more specific information. Um, a recovery addict said, until the Delphi case is resolved, I need to change my initials. It actually has been confusing me because every time I see RA, recovery addict is the first thing that comes to mind. So it makes me laugh because I keep getting confused between recovery addict and Richard Allen, I believe. I think is his name. Yeah, Richard Allen. Um, See, Patsy Klein said, thank you for covering the Delphi murders. I believe you're spot on. It's an insult to the victims and their family members. So it really is, in my opinion. And basically what I said is that them suggesting that one person couldn't do it alone is an absolute disrespect and insult to those kids, because that's suggesting they should have or could have done something else. And the idea that, and even he had a gun, but even if he didn't, just his presence can intimidate people into not knowing what to do. So the idea that they should have or could have done something else, to me, that it had to have been more than one person, is ridiculous. Doesn't mean it wasn't more than one person, but the idea that one person couldn't have done it is just offensive to those children's memories, in my opinion. So, Mr. We'll call him Dick Allen for your sake. You know what? That's I think it's a good idea. Um, let's see here. Let's see. Future said, "Yeah, the tidying of your room thing was weird. I wasn't ready for that one." Yeah, that one really got me. Um, so, Dr. G, what's your take on parents who exploit their children since birth on a public platform for income? It's tough because I think there's probably some people that mean well. I'm sure that there are some families that have YouTube channels and shows that are not, abusive, or that where they're ultimately a pretty happy family that just decide to do it on TV and stuff, or on online. I have mixed feelings about it, because there might be kids that have a lot of fun with that stuff. I just think if it just seems to be that it does attract a certain group. That doesn't mean that everybody that does it is in that group, but I think much like criminals and narcissists, you're going to see a higher percentage of not so great parents. Just like Hollywood, you see lots of parents of Hollywood people that were kids in Hollywood that grew up like that are totally nuts. And I think there probably a higher percentage of parents like that on YouTube and elsewhere, but not all of them. I'm sure there are some they're good folks that are just having fun online. But for ones that truly exploit their children or make their kids like do streams and stuff that they wouldn't otherwise want to do, yeah, I'm obviously not down with that. I'm sure they're out there. Um, let's see here. Hey, Mona said, "Dr. G, your professional assessment is great, but I love your personality more. When you laugh, it's the best." I actually have to cut out myself laughing a lot when I record my videos because I do laugh easily at dumb stuff, but I always try to deliver things without being too overboard. um, Cashflow Solution said, "Congrats, Carol." Let's see here. Rich said, "Hey, Dr. G, sorry I'm late." Hey, I'm late. I'm way behind on these comments. I really got to scoot ahead because people are going to not know, are going to ask questions, and it's going to take me forever to get to them. So I am going to skip ahead to try to get more recent. If anybody has any question they want to ask again, just go for it. Um, hey, Orca Dragon, awesome! I'm so happy you became a member. That's awesome. Um, Cash flow solution. Oh, yeah. Okay. She said, "I'll join the live course again. It was great." Yes, you were awesome in the live course. We had so much fun. It was a wonderful experience. So I'm glad you're here today. I just realized who you are. So welcome. Thanks for coming today. Um, I did not call her cash flow solutions when she was in the class, just so you know. That's why that's why it took me a second to recognize her. Um, let's see. All right, let's see. Oop. Auntie Candy asked Dr. G, with the upcoming cases, some big ones, who are you most interested in watching their behavior in court? Mm, I really am thinking if Murdoch gets another trial, that would be really interesting. But I would love to see how he changes his body language. I would say Koberger, but I don't think we're going to get to see him in court. I don't take responsibility for there not being cameras in the courtroom. It's not my fault. Even if they somewhat blamed it on me, I reject that notion. And yeah, I can't think off the top of my head right now. I know there's a bunch. The first thing to go when I've had a long day is names, so I'm struggling to remember the names of the folks that I want to analyze. But if any of y'all throw some out, I'm sure I'll recognize some. But it's always hard to know what's coming up next that is going to be interesting or compelling. Let's see here. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna be missing a bunch of y'all's comments because I'm just trying to catch up a little bit. But like I said, feel free to ask again if I'm missing something. Oh, wow, I'm way behind. Sorry, y'all. I didn't realize just how far behind I was. All right. So, Dr. G, on the same line as the sex control issue with Jodi, do you think it's the same MO for conspiracy theorists? I live in Utah. For some reason, conspiracies are rampant here. Um, it's a little bit different. It probably depends on the conspiracy theorist, but uh, uh, hmm. I think that paranoia sometimes can be about control, and sometimes conspiracy theories. There's so many conspiracy theories. I'd have to get more specific because there's just a few too many for me to answer that broadly. But I would say those fall in different categories. Actually, I'll at least say that. Um, all right, Indigo Gaming. How do I ask a question on screen? You type it over here, and then I pick the questions that I'm going to respond to. And like I said, I've been way behind, so I'm going to try to catch up. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them again. I will try to get to them. Um, Let's see here. Texas refugee said, "Hi, Dr. G." Hey, Texas refugee, how's it going? So that lady Cole, my son was misdiagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder. I learned lots about it and conduct disorder. My boy definitely doesn't have conduct disorder now as an adult. So for those of you that don't know, oppositional defiant disorder, we call it ODD. It's basically like if somebody has conduct problems, they get that diagnosis. If the conduct problems get worse as adolescents, they get conduct disorder diagnosis. And then as adults, they get antisocial personality disorder oftentimes. So that's sort of the progression. Oftentimes ODD doesn't turn into anything beyond that. It oftentimes ends at that, but if it continues, that's sort of the same version of each diagnosis throughout the ages for anybody that cares. Let's see here. Okay, it's okay. I'm definitely going to skip to where we are now. I can always go backward if I need to. All right. So let's see. See, I don't know how Recovery Addict does this, how he keeps up with everything, because for like 8 hours a day, he's sitting and fielding questions constantly and keeping an eye on things. Maybe it's the moderators that help him sort through all this stuff. But it's tough because I want to keep the flow going. I want to answer as many questions, but I also have to keep an eye on the screen over here. Okay. Let's see. So Dr. G explains, do you believe that narcissists can be cured? I think they can be managed. Cured is maybe a bridge too far for how I would describe what will happen with most narcissists. I would say you can help them manage behavior, but they'll never be as empathic or maybe like as loving and connected as someone who has never been a narcissist, in my opinion. Maybe they can get close, but it's unlikely. Let's see. As in serial killers, that's a great question. I think that we all have sort of different motivations for it, but I know that for me, I love to know how people operate, and I like to see through their nonsense. And once you learn how to read people's patterns, I think that the idea that we're protecting ourselves against these people is appealing. Certainly is to me. Let's see. Nunya asked, do you do anything with handwriting analysis? Not exactly. Here's the way I'll say it is that I think you can get something out of people's handwriting. So like if people are like, writing really hard, or sometimes like there's various things you can sort of understand about the psychology of someone based on their handwriting, but not, like if you look at my handwriting, you can tell that I have ADHD because it's terrible and I'm impulsive and I write too fast. So there are things you can get about it, but if there's like a formal way to like learn handwriting analysis, I don't know it. That's not something I'm familiar with. Let's see here. All right. Ali Marin asked, can you do a video on Casey Anthony and Jodi Arias? I've been working on one of Jodi Arias. I just haven't finished it. Casey Anthony, I've gotten that request a lot. That's something I'm going to have to do that one at some point for sure. Just like I'm going to have to do one on Darrell Brooks, because everybody always has been asking me for one on him, and I will get to it. Teddy Winchester asks, is it harder to detect lies in autistic people? Autistic people probably lie less, actually, because they feel less of a need to. I don't think that it's harder to detect lies in autistic people if it's a big lie. Because if an autistic, and once again, this is a spectrum disorder, right? And so if someone is more on the severe side, or not severe, that's maybe not the right way to put it, but if somebody they do a lot of stimming behaviors, for example, they have a hard time hiding that when they're uncomfortable. So actually, I would say it's probably not harder to detect lies in autistic people, but you might be, their body language actually might be more pronounced, just depending on how emotional the lie is. If it's inconsequential, they might be able to hide it better. But for anything like something like criminal, they're going to show it all over the place. Trying to think of examples of people that have actually been diagnosed that I can use. Yeah, there's a trial coming up with somebody who I feel pretty strongly is autistic, but I'll keep that to myself for now. See, what was your secondary major, minor in university? Did you prefer STEM or social sciences? Chinese was my well, I was one class away from a minor in Chinese, actually, but so I guess more of this social sciences, I suppose. I enjoy STEM stuff as well, so I like it all. But at UGA, when I was going there, most of the stuff, the social sciences counted towards my major, so that was what I trended towards most. Um, if interrogating someone is a better strategy to seat them in a comfortable chair or lull them into false easement or a rigid seat to stress them out. Great question. A lot of that has to do with the interviewer and the type of uh, situation you want to create for them. My style would be to put them in a comfortable chair to build rapport and to have them comfortable with you. Um, and then, I'm definitely someone who is going to be um, more interested in building rapport than punishment or making someone uncomfortable. That doesn't mean that I couldn't make someone uncomfortable, but yeah, I would think that the comfortable chair would be the better option in the way that I think about it. Katrina Heatherton said Sarah Boone, in my opinion. I don't even know what you were responding to it. I just wanted to highlight the fact we're talking about Sarah Boone because she is so interesting. I think I should be her attorney since all of her attorneys are dropping out. But you know, all right. Analyze Kim Jong Un, Dr. G. There are and I'm serious when I say this. There are some things that I am not touching, and Putin, uh, uh, Kim Jong Un. There's a number of them where I'm like, I'm just not going anywhere near that stuff. I appreciate the thought; that could be interesting, but just I can tell you, there's no way. Um, let's see. I question: will the trial be recorded live, like Johnny versus Amber Heard case? Um, I'm not sure which trial, but we never know until it, it, it seems to be so hard to know which trials are going to be broadcast nowadays. Um, all right, what are your thoughts about the Dancy Masterson situation? Um, yeah, that's a tough one. A lot of people have been asking me to do an analysis of the Ashton Kutcher Mila Kunis thing. And the only reason I didn't really was just because I was doing so many other videos that by the time I would have had time, I don't think anybody cared anymore. Because obviously it's a very weird video. Uh, I mean, my thoughts of it is that it's probably a good thing that Danny Masterson is being held accountable for the things that he did because a lot of these Hollywood folks are able to skirt by. So, it's interesting to see that there is actually some consequence for this guy. Moon said, "Hi, Dr. G. Hi, Moon. How's it going?" Um, let's see here. Melissa Martin says, as a retired therapist, I observe body language lots in clients, both adults and kids. Fascinating field. See, this is the one thing, and I've probably said this before, that therapists inherently, we are trained a lot in body language. We just call it behavioral observations or clinical impressions or whatever. But we do learn a lot about body language. We learn about how our bodies can affect how the clients we're sitting with are and like how to use our bodies in ways that, if we lean closer or cross our legs or whatever. I mean, we are, or at least in my programs, we became very aware of those things. So there's a lot of people that are in my field that very much are already trending towards body language. They just don't get as specific about it as I do. See, Jim Christie said Lori, Crazy Pants, Vallow, Daybell, and Koberger are what I want to see. Yeah, I definitely am interested in doing videos on both of them. See, as well as Suitcase Lady Killer. I forget her name. That would be Sarah Boone. Let's see. See, yeah, they used my name in court as a court doc as a reason why not to have cameras in the courtroom. Yes, that is in fact true. But as I said, I do not accept responsibility for that choice. Uh, let's see. Yeah, it's a YouTube badge of honor to get mentioned in court documents. Yeah, well, it's probably not going to be the last of those. So let's see here. So Jody Arrington asked, "How do we even raise narcissists?" Like I've mentioned, a lot of it's neurological. That I would say that you're unlikely to create a genuine narcissist. So if you're a good empathic person and you grow up and your kid grows up to be a narcissistic adult, doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Sometimes that's just the way they were wired. Dr. G. Corey Richard's prison letter. I have not gotten a chance to check this out yet, but I plan to. I mean to. I want to look at that. Um, See, Roseanne said, "I know how recovery addict feels. My initials are all over the place on social media." So, that's that's always funny. Um, and so I noticed you said ADHD attentive type. I don't even know what this was in response to, but I have ADHD combined type. So, um, and like any good person with ADHD, I'm immediately going to get distracted when I see that. He said, "Great live, Dr. G." Well, I appreciate it. Um, So fish out of water. Can you do a video on Jehovah's Witnesses? It's a rabbit hole and a cult. I think you'd enjoy breaking down the video from the governing body. It's tough, y'all. Like when there's established religions, I really do try to, I understand people got a lot of strong feelings about this stuff. I really do my best to try to respect, even if it's not something that I practice. Um, there's certain things that cross lines into cult territory. I'm probably going to leave the Jehovah's Witnesses alone, honestly. Like that's there's not a lot of appeal to me because I know some people take it very seriously and they could be hurtful to people if I analyze it in ways of, or if there's things about it that I don't understand, and I really don't know much about Jehovah's Witnesses. So I appreciate the thought, I appreciate the suggestion, but that's probably not a way that it's something I'm going to go down. Um, See, Mr. Upper Torso, how common is it for kids to show problematic tendencies but then grow up out of them? Curious cruelty, for example, TMI. I think I have a lot of empathy now, but was a strange kid. I mean, plenty of people. So here's the difference between people who uh, can't grow out of the problematic tendencies and people who do is that people who are capable of learning, people who actually have empathy go, "Hey, I did something that I don't like. I'm going to do something different next time." And so there's a lot of people that do dumb stuff or mean or, show signs of being cruel or whatever as kids and then grow out of it and go, "Wow, I regret doing that. I don't want to do that anymore." But for people that are pathological, that edge, that ability to learn isn't there. There is no growing edge for them. So they just hurt people and they go, "Hey, I kind of like doing that. I hope I don't get in trouble, but I'm going to keep doing it." So if you can learn, you can grow out of stuff. I mean, everybody does things that they regret or wish they'd done differently. See, Dr. G, DG said, "Dr. G, I enjoy your videos. I'm fascinated with all this crime related. I've been since I was a young woman. I'm now 70." LOL. So, well, yeah, I mean, there is an allure to watching true crime and to me, once again, the real thing is always more interesting and more compelling than the fictional stuff. I don't know what it is, and like I said, sometimes the fictional stuff kind of creeps me out. Um, let's see, let's see. All right, Ashley R said, "I'm autistic and I really struggle to lie. It feels wrong. My body language would probably show how uncomfortable I am." Yeah, so to go back to what we were saying earlier, yeah, I can see that would be the case for a lot of folks. Now, the problem is if somebody is autistic and also has personality issues or is narcissistic or a psychopath, that can be and I have seen that combination. That could be a really dangerous combination and not necessarily that they're going to physically hurt somebody or anything, but emotionally that is very can be very problematic. So, Dr. G, do you think Ruby Frank believes in what she says, or has she become more extreme to build her clout on social media? Kind of the monster of the cult took over and made her more and more extreme. Based on her videos on Connections, I think that she believes this is my own sort of theory about it. I could be wrong, but this is what I think. I think that Jodi is her teacher and that she believes what Jodi says. And so I do think that she believes what she says. I really do. Because the way that she looks at Jodi, the way that she looks to her for guidance, I think that she genuinely does believe in and uh really is going on principles that Jodi has told her. I think it's very possible that based on everything we know about Jodi Hildebrandt, that without her, Ruby Franke may not be as bad as she has been accused of being. So, do I believe that she believes what she says? Yeah, I really do actually. Um, See, Andrew McBride asked, "How does psychopaths struggle with object relations and object constancy?" Do they struggle with that? I'm not familiar with that if they are. That's something even I'm not aware of. Um, Kristen Brooks said, "First live I've actually made it to." Hey, well, welcome, Kristen. I'm glad you're here. Um, do you think Jodi Hildebrandt could be a psychopath? During Jesse's interview about her experience abuse living with Jodi, they hinted at it. So basically, I'd need a lot more information, but I will say that the information that we have, if true, is concerning and is so I'd need more information to say for sure, but that's not a bad hypothesis potentially. Assuming that what we're hearing is true. Like I said, I'm trying to hedge my bets here a little bit, but um Roseanne said, I believe BK could be on the spectrum. I've heard a lot of people suggest that. Once again, I think we'll need more information, but there's been a lot of folks that have commented on my channel that they think that Brian Coburn could be on the spectrum. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a very broad spectrum, so let's see here. Maybe Dr. G can be Sarah Boone's expert. I've been pushing for that. I think that would be that would be uh yeah, I have a feeling she probably would not love my video about her, so she would probably be very mad at me. Um, Dr. G, are you sure you want that job? I definitely am not sure I want that job. I'm saying it in jest. I would be really kicking myself if I actually got that job. Let's see. See, Brittany Paris said, I just had to start the live from the top and I'm just learning you're a Georgia Bulldog. Yeah. Hey, so uh yeah, it's and hopefully for those of you that follow college football, and I know there's many of you that probably don't care, but UGA did pretty well last year, so I'm hoping they do well again this year. Um, good therapists are superheroes. I'd like to think so. Unfortunately, there's also a lot of bad therapists out there. I'm not saying anything bad about my field. There's plenty of amazing therapists that I know, but the ones that are bad really screw things up for the rest of us. And sometimes I'll end up with patients or couples that have seen some bad therapists, and uh, it's I always get frustrated with people that don't do the job well. Um, I don't know why I put that spin on it when you made that comment, but anyway, Planted Garden says, does a therapist, psychiatrist, or psychologist take it personally if a patient goes to someone else? I don't. I tell people within the first session, hey, look, if it's not working, go see someone else. Like I want them to know I won't take it personally. I never trying to think. I don't think I've ever taken it personally when someone uh felt like, that it was time to wrap it up, or that they were like, yeah, I want to go see somebody that does this type of therapy, because I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist. What you see is what you get. And some people want somebody who's a lot softer, who just wants to listen. I give a lot of feedback. We analyze things together. We talk. I'm I'm not the right therapist for everybody. So if somebody does not feels like they want to see somebody else instead of me, I'm like, good, go for it. Like, then I'm not the right person for you. Either I am or I'm not. So, um, all right. So to answer your question, Planet Garden, yeah, never feel bad if you have to, or if you or anybody else needs to change therapists. That's just part of the game, and that's fine. Let's see. So Lauren S. said, I love your content so much. A case that hits home for me is Samantha Josephson. Would you be able to teach us more about her killer and body language? Still makes no sense to us. So Samantha Josephson. All right, I'm going to grab a pad. Hold on. All right, let me write this name down. I probably should just text myself. I don't know why I'm physically writing this down. Actually, I do know why, because if you physically write things, it helps you remember it better. So I'll be more likely to. So I'll look up Samantha Josephson. Becca said, I really hope you get around to making a video about Moonies. I love to share that with video with my boyfriend, a former member of the church. Oh, interesting. Okay. I plan on doing a video about Moonies. And since, I mean, my Korean's okay. My wife's obviously is good because she is Korean. I was looking at some videos from Moonies that were actually speaking Korean, and I might actually do a body language analysis with that. Might have to do some translation along the way, but that could be interesting. So I'm definitely down with doing a video about Moonies at some point or another. CMP said, a good therapist will never be offended. That's absolutely right. A good therapist would never be offended should you choose to go elsewhere. I mean, part of being a therapist is really is about being objective, and that's a really important thing to me is to be objective. Um, so, you know, if if a therapist really can't handle people leaving, then they need to, really talk to another therapist about why. And I'm serious, and that sounds silly, but therapists go to therapists too, like, the processing stuff. One thing I'll say that I think is really important for everybody to hear is that processing information is always better when we have somebody to process it with. I mean, it's part of the reason that therapy works. We're not always meant to just sit and think about stuff on our own. That's part of the reason I love interacting with people like this, is saying things out loud, communicating things, typing stuff, just getting things exchanged in that way is so much more powerful than anything you're going to analyze by yourself. And that includes people like me too. I mean, I analyze stuff all the time, but it still is better. If I'm having a tough day, I'll talk to my wife and say, like, hey, I just need to say this stuff out loud, stressing me out, it's on my mind, whatever, and it helps. So, yeah. What about Shabusiness? That lady is something else. Oh man, that one still haunts me a little bit. The images that, for anybody that followed the Shabusiness case closely or saw some of the images of the things that she did, or the aftermath, my God, that was a bad one. Valerie Ivy said you probably got under Cobra's skin because you were accurate. We'll see. Um, Let's see. Laughing Water says, I was married to a narcissist, according to our marital therapist, and I've been destroyed by the entire experience. Yeah, I mean, it's being married to a therapist is traumatic. Okay, that's not a Freudian slip. Being married to a narcissist is it is, and I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the mistake I just made. Being married to a narcissist is truly a traumatic experience, and it really can affect your trust in people. It can really destroy your ability and self-confidence to be able to feel okay about your own thoughts and feelings, because part of what narcissists do is they wait until somebody feels okay, wait till they feel settled and comfortable, and then they strike, and then they make you feel agitated and then upset. So anytime they see you having a good day, they're going to find a way to passive aggressively or aggressively ruin that. And so when your body gets used to that, it's really hard to readjust and to trust that you're going to find somebody else that's not a narcissist. So I get that's not an easy experience, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. Um, all right, let's see. Gracia Mana said, "Hi, Dr. G. Everyone in the chat. I'm just joining. Would love you to do a video comparing an honest person versus a manipulative liar narcissist. I've had a number of requests to do videos like this. I should do that. I need to do that. So I will plan on doing that at some point. I'd like to be compelling people, though. That's what I've got to find, is people that are very compelling and interesting. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Michelle Johnson asked, Dr. G, with Zoom being used with more psychologists, psychotherapists, social workers, do you think it's just as beneficial as in-person therapy? Yeah, actually, I do. I think if it's a really severe case, if it's somebody who is really struggling, or someone who's at risk of like self-harm and those kinds of things, I think that face-to-face is better in some ways, but it's so convenient to just, like, you know, roll out of bed and hop on with your therapist, or do it from your car or whatever. I mean, I would say it's the vast minority of people that prefer having to actually go in the office nowadays. So I personally think that it's just as beneficial. At least that's my opinion. So Karen said my son has a combined type of ADHD. Yeah, it's got its benefits and it's got its drawbacks. I mean, part of the benefit is that I'm you know, it's contributed to me getting as many degrees and I have, and as being as studied as I am. But it's also, it comes with its own set of issues as well. But I don't mind having ADHD. I think it's fine. My wife, on the other hand, may have a very different answer for you. So just so you know, if she was here right now, she would probably disagree. And what I'm going to do, just so y'all know, next time I'm going to have y'all ask her any questions you want to know about me, and I will not intervene. I will just let her respond with whatever she feels appropriate, so that y'all can get an unfiltered view of whatever she thinks about questions you have. Let's see here. All right. So, kind of, sort of, Leanne said, Dr. G, if a person has a movement disorder, essential tremor, Parkinson's, how does that information get into taken into account when doing an analysis? Well, hopefully, if you know that information, then that's the baseline, right? But sometimes, like tic disorders, for example, when there are emotional spikes, those can get worse. Tourette's, tic disorders, those kinds of things, which I know is different than a movement disorder, like you're referring to. But depending on the disorder, sometimes even that can impact how we read body language. But hopefully, if you know that somebody has an essential tremor or something like that, that you take that into account, and then you just don't get to use anything that's sort of masked by that during observations, because there's still lots of other things that you can look at aside from movements directly related to that. Let's see. Listen, Martin said, I admit I have watched the show Criminal Minds a lot. The shows like that, actually, when I talk about some of them creeping me out, those don't bother me. I've watched plenty of those myself. Let's see. Dr. G, can you do a video on Rodney Alcala and Richard Ramirez? Rodney Alcala was on a dating. Oh, that guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was like the dating game killer or something like that. I know exactly what you're talking about. That'd be a great comparison. Yeah, I'll check that out. That's a good idea. I will see what I can find. Alexis North said, Dr. G, I'm so hooked on your content. Just wanted to say thank you for sharing your brain with us. No, it's my pleasure to do so. I really do enjoy getting to hang out with you guys and share, whatever knowledge I've got in videos and that kind of stuff. Um, let's see. Let's see. Have you heard of the Austin Haroff case? It's one of the only recent NGRIs that I've seen recently. I haven't. I'll look it up though. Um, Dr. G, can you explain the knowledge you have so far on Odinism? I mean, it's relatively limited. A lot of what I was looking up is how people do rituals and what kind of sacrifices and celebrations and all of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, what I'm learning is that nothing that was done in the Delphi murders are related to any known Odinist sorts of rituals or anything like that. Like, it, while I understand people are saying like, well, there's runes here and there's that kind of stuff, like it's still, if you're going to, as I say in the video, if you're going to sacrifice somebody, you're probably going to follow rituals, because that's what a ritual is that it's something that's set up. You're not just making it up as you go along. So that much I at least know. Um, and also that if somebody's going to do something that significant, it would probably be related to like a holiday or something to that effect. So, what I'm learning so far, Sebastian, is that there's nothing that lines up with Odinism, or even an uh, extremist version of it, that lines up with what we know in the Delphi murders. Just nothing lines up, other than something looks runish, and runes are just lines. I mean, it's not that hard to see runes and things. Um, all right, let's see here. See, Jennifer said that Georgia Dogs have been a superpower team for a long time. That's true. And I don't want to make anybody mad with my football opinions. And I know for y'all that aren't in the US, you don't care anyway. But, well, and y'all don't even, American football, I should say. Um, Ozzy asked thoughts on the Powell verdict. And I mentioned this earlier. I need to catch up more on on some of the Powell stuff. I was surprised though, based on the little bit that I'd seen, even though there were behaviors that she had that were strange. I thought that they were the argument that she was insane at the time of the act, I thought was probably going to go her way. So I was actually surprised by that result. But there's still a lot that I need to research on that. So that's a half informed opinion on that one. See, Jody Arrington asks, how do you recognize a less than desirable therapist? All right, couple of things. One, how you feel during the first session should dictate a lot about whether or not you feel like the person's a good match with you. I tell people that all the time. After the first session, it's like, look, and I tell people specifically this: if you feel like we're a good match, great. And if not, I don't take it personally. Think about it. If you want to set up another appointment, we'll do that. Just take some time and think about it after today. And, if even if a therapist doesn't say that to you, if immediately you just don't feel the right rhythm, find it. find another one. The hard part is I know sometimes like people have waited to get an appointment and they're like, I don't want to have to find another one. This person's supposed to be good, but I don't like them. I would still recommend trying to find another one. Use what you feel about them. A lot of people have gut reactions that they choose to ignore. Don't ignore gut reactions. Um, so let's see. See, Jamie Ville said, I've had terrible luck with therapy or therapists, rather. I'd love to find a good one. You seem very cool, Dr. G, and your personality is contagious. I appreciate that. I'd like to think that I'm kind of cool. So, so, um, uh, yeah, it is hard to find a good therapist. And I wish I had good advice on to tell you all on how to find one, but I could tell you how just trust your gut. That's the best I got is that, and if you see somebody for a month and you're like, oh, I really don't like this person. Once again, you just got to say, I'm not going to waste my time or money or energy. Um, Dr. G, why don't you have a Southern accent? I have no idea. My wife and I were talking about this because ethnically she's Korean. She was born and raised in a town called Lilburn, Georgia. So she's from a little town and she has an accent. I've lived in South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and I have no accent and I have no idea why. It really doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. It's not intentional, by the way. I don't go out of my way to not use an accent. I just don't have one. Let's see. See, Chad Cobb said, when I watch crime shows that involve other countries, I really don't care about. Um, so, Chad, what I don't know is, are you saying that you don't care about what happens in crime shows that involve other countries? Yeah, I don't know. The way that the sentence is laid out, I can't figure out what to say. Let's see here. Rachel Bennett says the relationship is the most important part of therapy. Yes, that's that if as long as you've got that piece and the person's got the skills, they should be able to help you. I think another thing to keep in mind is competency, because some therapists are really good at some things and not good at others. And you just got to find one that really knows what's affecting you. If you've got problems with panic attacks, talk to a specialist with panic attacks. Don't go to somebody who typically works with something else. Like, you've got to find somebody that matches your energy and what you need, because they're out there, especially now with teletherapy. I had a therapist fall asleep on me one time. That is a bad therapist. I can tell you. I'm always really engaged with my clients, my patients, however you want to say it. That's awful. I'm sorry you went through that. That's not okay. Let's see. I do DBT. It's very helpful. Fit with a therapist is very important. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, DBT is and like, for example, I don't do DBT. So if someone came to me and was basically were like, yeah, I need someone that does dialectical behavior therapy, I'd help them find a therapist that does. I wouldn't go, well, see me anyway, and I'll help you with the other stuff. So, Ozzy said, EMDR did amazing things for me. Yeah, there's another one that I am not practiced in, but I hear great things about EMDR. I hear a lot of people that have said it's been very, very helpful. Let's see, Margaret said, please evaluate the Hollywood killer. His face doesn't seem to move. Well, that's actually why I haven't evaluated him yet, because I was watching some of his footage. I was like, people are going to be bored with my video because all he does is sit there just like this, just stares the whole time. There's been a little stuff that I've noticed, but I'm going to wait till it's a little closer to it wrapping up so I can just do one video over the whole thing, because I don't think people would watch a whole series of videos on it. I don't think. Maybe people are really interested. Jen's a new member. Welcome, Jen. Thank you so much for joining. The Alex Murdoch saga. Alec Murdoch saga. I can never say his name right, because you would think it'd be pronounced differently because of the way it's spelled. But the Alec Murdoch saga is fascinating. It really is, and I think Netflix just released a second season of the show about the Murdoch. So I haven't watched it yet, but Sebastian asked, have you ever done videos of interrogation? I've done videos watching other people doing interrogations. Yeah, I usually incorporate that into videos. I usually don't do just a whole video of interrogations. Once again, one of the tough parts for me is always balancing people staying engaged and it being interesting versus length, because a lot of people say, hey, make longer videos. And if I do a whole interrogation, it's gonna be like a 2-hour long video, which is easy enough for me. I just don't know if anybody actually wants to watch it. Um, all right, I missed it. Why are they blaming Dr. G for no cameras in Koberger's trial? I was mentioned in the court documents as to why they shouldn't have cameras in the trial. So that's what that was in reference to. Um, yeah. Ozzy Can said, "Hi, Dr. G and everyone." Hey, Ozzy Can, how's it going? All right. Man, I got behind again, y'all. I'm so sorry. Next time I do this, I'm gonna have some mods. We're gonna keep the flow better. I will not be as behind on answering people's questions and comments. Um, let's see here. See, Jenny B said, Dr. G, I love your content. I would love you to analyze the old Unsolved Mysteries interview. Several cases still unsolved and families been interviewed. I'd love to get your That's a great idea. Um, I definitely need to do that. I think that would be really cool. So I'll check that out. Great idea. Well, that's what I've been thinking. It would be fun if I could get us all involved together. If we could find footage of some old cases that are unsolved and there's lots of footage on it, that as a community we could analyze it together. I think that would be really cool. That's what I would love to do because I've got my own things that I would say about it, but if we could work together to on something like that, I just think that would be fun. I think that would be cool. I'm working on trying to figure out the logistics of that because what I don't want is to pick a case and then uh let's just say that we find some pretty discover stuff that nobody else has. I don't want anybody to get harassed or like to create any issues for anybody. So I'm trying to figure out how we balance that. But just know I'm open. I'm 100% open to doing something. I know that's not what you asked, but to doing something with like unsolved mysteries or finding some unsolved mysteries that we can all kind of like work together on. I think that would be fun. See, Dragon's Maiden said, "Hello, Dr. G. Enjoy your content. Keep up the good work." Thanks. I appreciate it. So, need a card. Why do you think uh, neurotypical normal people are so fascinated and intrigued with true crime? Depends on the person. A lot of people it helps them feel like they can protect themselves somewhat. For some of us, it's just the idea that there are people out there whose brains work so differently than ours. It's just there's many reasons, but yeah, I mean, true crime is one of the most popular forms of entertainment in the world at this point. So, um, see, Joanne Lynn said, "Thank you, Dr. G. You're entertaining as well as informative. I especially love your unbiased opinions." I really do try my best to be unbiased. And that's why, as I'm trying to sort of work on some of the political stuff, I'm, I really do. I'm personally feel very unbiased. I mean, when I do any of it, I, I, I try to just tell you exactly what I'm seeing. So, my goal is to be as unbiased as I can. And if I have a bias, I will tell you guys, really. I'm very clear on the fact if I like or don't like something or something makes me angry, I'll let you know. Um, hey, Lois Cox is a new member. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm excited to see you as a new member. Pain and Pleasure said, Dr. G, your videos help me pass the time and trauma I experienced with the suicide of a loved one. Thank you. Thank you, dude. Really. I really appreciate the comment. It means a lot to me that anybody can get anything out of my videos, whether it's entertainment, learning, whether it helps them not think about the things going on. I'm really sorry to hear that you went through that. And if there's any way that my videos have helped you through that, then that's really my honor, honestly. So Megan Easton said, "Hey, Dr. G. Hey, everyone, and welcome, Megan. I'm glad you're here." Let's see. What does it mean when defendants don't move a millimeter for hours, such as Gareth Perthhouse? All right. Sometimes it's because people know that they don't want to give anybody anything, whether it's because of body language or they just don't want to look suspicious. Sometimes people just will try to take as much control as possible. Like look at Chad Daybell, for example. That dude doesn't move at all. I mean, I mean, literally doesn't move. Gareth Perthhouse, some of it, I don't know about him. Maybe he's on meds. It's always hard to say. Sometimes when people are medicated, they don't move as much. So I need to watch more of him to say for sure. But sometimes it's a conscious thing. Sometimes it just is. Um, let's see. Megan says my therapist sucks. Yeah, unfortunately, there are a few out there that do. I don't know what the percentage is, but I know there's some for sure. See, Lori Davis said, I have ADHD too. A lot of us, my daughter has it, and my older son, my middle son has high functioning autism. Yeah, and it's uh, uh there's pros and cons to all of these various issues, and as long as we can find ways to make ourselves happy and enjoy life and connect with people that work with us and enjoy being around us, then it's all good. Let's see. Shelly P said, I don't understand how someone could be brainwashed into abusing their own children. Please talk about how intelligent people are bamboozled by charismatic cult leaders. So it takes a vulnerable person, or it could take somebody that wants permission to be abusive, for example. So if somebody, you're probably not going to take your average person off the street, convince them to do awful things, and have them follow you and do it. I mean, there's some studies that show that people are willing to hurt other people, but in terms of like, if we're to talk about like uh, Jodi Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke, for example, once again, I will allow. I'm going to let a court of law decide whether or not they've actually done the things they've been accused of. But just for argument's sake, if you had a situation like that, uh, somebody like Ruby Franke would not have been just like totally normally functioning and then had Jodi Hildebrandt completely brainwash her. It would be that it more allowed a bad part of her to flourish, I would think, more so than it like causing that. But in terms of what causes otherwise intelligent people to be bamboozled by cult leaders, intelligent people, and I may have talked about this before, but people, the people that are smart, oftentimes when they have a belief, they will double and triple down on that belief. Like it's much harder to convince them that they are then saying believe something that's not true because they're used to thinking critically about things. So when they've decided on something, they go, "Well, I'm smart. I've decided this. So therefore that's just the way that it is." So if you can sucker a smart person into a cult, they're going to be like all in. They are 100% going to be on board with it. We see this happen, and I'm not referring to anybody specifically, but we see it happen with politics all the time. Is that there are people that are otherwise intelligent that will come up with, they'll have like some sort of conspiracy theory belief, but they're really a smart person. They will just double down on it and be like, no, this is just the way it is. This is the truth, because they're used to thinking critically. So they will not believe other people. So intelligent people are actually more susceptible to sticking with cults and becoming the worst members of cults, if you can believe that. Um, so it's kind of backwards from what you'd think. So Mona said, I know you were referring earlier to when I was talking about therapy, saying, but that's you, Dr. G, and other good therapists. Some personalities are intimidated to not continue with therapy, regardless of how they feel. Or to not continue with the therapist. And let me see. So some personalities are intimidated to not continue with a therapist. Yeah, and so it does take a lot of courage to start a journey into therapy. So I always do hope that somebody's not going to feel guilted into sticking with a therapist or whatever it is. That kind of stuff is never good. Um, Ritz said I had a therapist who was adversarial with me, awful, and I said, "Girl, bye." Yeah, well, that's good riddance. I'm glad you did. Lucy House said, I just wanted to say hello, Dr. G. All and your videos are fascinating. I appreciate all the work you put into them. I appreciate it. They are a lot of they are a lot of work, but I love it. And I'm trying to get more content out than I was before, as much as I can. See, Mountain Mima says parents didn't have an accent. Actually, my father had a very thick Southern accent. My mother at times has. She doesn't really anymore, but when I was growing up, she did. So yeah, once again, I still can't explain it. I have no idea. See, Patricia Byrne said, you sound like a Canadian living in Britain. And when I learned Mandarin Chinese, everybody told me I spoke it with a Cantonese accent. So I really made no sense. So who knows? My accent's just weird, I guess. Jodi Arrington said, you're doing great and you have a huge fan base. I appreciate it. And it's always a pleasure to me when people enjoy the videos I make. I think it's it's always a great pleasure of mine to come up with stuff that people like, and and if occasionally I make videos that people don't like, that's okay too. Like I said, this most recent one on the Delphi murder seems to be controversial for some folks, which I totally didn't expect. I'm usually pretty good at predicting that kind of stuff. That really surprised me. It doesn't hurt my feelings, by the way. If people like download my video or don't like it, that's fine. Like it's I don't take it personally. I like it when people like my videos, but if they don't, that's okay too. But that one surprised me. Let's see. Dr. G, a vid on John Benet Ramsey and Madeline McCann's parents. I bet I'm your first viewer from Uruguay. As far as I know, you are my first viewer from Uruguay. That's awesome. Welcome. So, Luciana, I've been hesitant to do one on John Benet Ramsey's parents because if I understand right, I think that Burke Ramsey is pretty litigious. In other words, he is somebody who likes to sue people. So I have not, I actually recorded a video, but I didn't ever release it. We'll see if at some point I do. Maddie McCann's parents, that one I have not actually tried to analyze. I'll look into that one. Dale Wink said, don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes, please like and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help out the channel. All right. I'm gonna skip back down to be the current because I am being bad about letting comments go too long. Beth said, do you believe borderline personality disorder can develop into quiet BPD? I was diagnosed with postpartum depression and BPD 30 years ago after a suicide attempt, but now seem to internalize. So there are a lot of folks that are misdiagnosed with BPD. I'm not saying this is true of you, Beth. I don't know your situation, but people are very quick to diagnose BPD when somebody when there's a suicide attempt. And so I would say that you might want to get reassessed at some point if you feel like that it doesn't fit as well as it used to. I mean, that's what there's borderline personality obviously is a personality disorder, which you guys may have figured out, but I'm a personality disorder expert. There's really not a lot of us out there, and there are, in my opinion, maybe some of y'all disagree, I think the BPD gets way overdiagnosed, bipolar gets overdiagnosed, and I'm fine giving people diagnoses. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just know that it's not always accurate. I know people that'll go in to a hospital, get diagnosed with borderline personality disorder the next day, and it's like, I'm not so sure how thorough that assessment was. So make sure it's the right diagnosis. It might not be. Michelle Johnson, I'd be interested in you doing a body language on Jack the Ripper. If there's any body language of Jack the Ripper, sure, that'd be interesting. I don't know if there is. So yeah, Burke Ramsey sure is litigious. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he sued a TV station for like $750 million or something like that, which I probably couldn't afford. So let's see here. Dr. G needs merch. Do you guys want it? Yeah, I think that could be kind of fun. I would just want it to be something interesting and compelling and cheap. If I was to do some kind of merch, I think that could be kind of fun. See, Dr. G, Recovery Addict always recommends your channel first time here. Oh, that's awesome. I love Recovery Addict. I imagine he's probably long gone from here at this point. He came in here earlier, and I give him a lot of credit because he and I, our channels, when I first started talking to Recovery Addict, we had about the same amount of subscribers. And just because of the type of content we do, I've gained a few more since then, but I give him a lot of credit for my early success and my continued success. So and I haven't talked to him about this, so I don't know if he'd want to do this or not, but when I get close to 100,000, I'm going to ask if he'll be on live with me for like 100,000 subscriber like special or something. I think that would be really cool. Probably ask Brandy Churchwell to join me as well. I'm trying to find. I think that would be a really fun way to celebrate it. To hang out with other people in the community and to do that. So, but yeah, I love Recovery Addict. I really very genuinely mean that he has some of the coolest, most interesting live content anywhere, YouTube or elsewhere. Hearing Dr. G say "girl bye" just made my entire week. Well, you guys may have figured this out. I'm a little bit more of a goofball than I may act on my videos, which my wife can attest to. Um, so let's see. Katie Dahlquist asked, "Is body language universal among all cultures? In rural Alaska, where I live, they use facial expressions to speak a lot of times." I mean, a lot of the general principles are fairly universal, but you always have to get a baseline. So if there's specific facial expressions that are specific to a culture, you got to account for that. But a lot of body language, there are certain aspects of body language. I'd say like 65, 70% of it is probably pretty universal, and then the other part could be influenced by culture in some way. Um, but if you're good at reading it, you can adjust and figure it out. Fire Magnet asked, "Do you think exposure therapy is the way to cure social anxiety?" It's part of it. Yeah. I mean, exposure therapy, for those of you that don't know, I mean, is basically exposing yourself to things that make you uncomfortable in essence. And, obviously there are specific therapeutic ways to do that, but avoidance creates anxiety. So avoidance is almost never the right answer for someone who feels anxious. So, yes, exposure therapy can help with social anxiety, but that's not always everything. That can maybe help with some of the initial feelings or talking to someone new or doing some of that stuff. There's probably more work that has to get done, but exposure therapy is, in my opinion, an important piece of it. So, yeah, it's an important piece of pretty much any anxiety disorder, panic disorder, um, social anxiety, general anxiety. A lot of it requires some degree of exposure. See, Chelsea Craig said, "I have ADHD as well, and my brain never stops even with the meds." Yeah, my brain doesn't turn off so easily. Um, Dr. G, what in the world is going on with all the teenage child murders? Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to explain why there's been so much of that lately. And I don't know statistically if it's much different or if we just cover it differently now. Really, I'm not sure. Megan O has asked, "Could you cover something on Lucy Letby?" I did one video on Lucy Letby, but I haven't done more. The one video, it's relatively short, but I do have one. MP said, "Well, MP's probably gone at this point, but heading out for the day, you're the best, and you're so compassionate in your phrasing when discussing pathologies. All the love to you and your partner. I appreciate it, MP, if you're still here or if you're catching this later. Thank you so much." Let's see. Okay, please analyze Israel Keys. Why am I it might just be this let me look up Israel Keys. Why am I being dumb? My brain is just not working with names right now. Ah, right, right, right. Okay. Yeah, Israel Keys, that could be an interesting one. Yeah, I'd forgotten about him. Yeah, okay. I'll analyze Israel Keys. That could be one. I'll add that to my list of ones to analyze. There was somebody else that was just mentioned to me a couple of days ago. I'll have to look his name up again. He's got this was from like 10 or so years ago. He has like big, crazy, curly hair. He's very peculiar. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but there's a few older ones that I plan to dip into soon. Um, let's see. Let's see. Cynthia Cluth said, "What about a focus on LDS, or is it really a big problem?" I don't. I think there's been a lot of cases out of Utah lately, and people that are that are LDS. I don't think. I mean, once again, I'm not going to analyze an entire religion or culture, or any of that stuff like that. That I think would be, aside from the fact I'm not really interested in doing that. I think that could be harmful to people, and that's never my goal. I think that could hurt too many people. So I don't know enough about the challenges in LDS to even speak intelligently on it. I mean, but for whatever reason, there's just been a lot of big cases lately, Lori Daybell and so forth, that have been LDS. But I don't know if it's just because of the way things are covered in Utah and we just hear more about it, because crazy stuff goes on everywhere. So yeah, I don't. So I'm not going to be talking about LDS specifically, even if there are a lot of cases that have been related to LDS lately. Um, Dr. G explains, "Did you analyze Danilo Cavalcante?" That was his name. I was trying to remember it earlier and I just couldn't get to it. Uh, I did briefly during while he was still on the run. I did a brief video analyzing what I could of him, what was available. My prediction was just that he was going to try to escape and that he was going to get very volatile. Which he did become very volatile, not surprisingly. Um, Let's see, child murder is a result of video games and internet bullying. I don't think so, actually. There's been a lot of research on video games, and I have read a lot of it. I'm very familiar with this because I know a lot of people that are concerned about violent movies, violent games, all that stuff. I think that for people that are violent, they may get more like they may enjoy the let me phrase it this way. I don't think violent video games actually cause any problems. I really don't, and that may be surprising to some folks, but uh internet bullying may be something that gets or of course I may be actually you may be talking about something else. But anyway, internet bullying, I don't think that like that may be part of the stuff that's been related to like school shooters and some of that. But there also has to be underlying pathology there for that to play into it. So I don't think either one of those cause it. Um, so yeah, I think people can play violent video games all day, every day, and it's not going to make them act violently. Actually, um, see, DG said you must be getting a huge list of people to analyze just on here. I really do, actually, and many of the people I end up analyzing are specifically ones people have asked for. Eileen Warrior said just did because people were asking for it. So, um, let's see here. The guy from Colorado that shot up a theater, I think it's James Holmes you're thinking of. Um, in terms of what you're referring to, I know you're probably responding to somebody else, but I did want to point out I'm actually going to be working on a video covering him and some other people. I really do have a hard time watching videos on some of these mass shooters. When we talk about the ones that affect me, and I've told people this before, when there was the guy um, who was the security guard or whatever, the school security guard, and he was on trial, I couldn't watch it and I didn't want to cover it because I feel too strongly about it. The school shooters, the mass shooters, these guys, I am going to do a video on this, but I admittedly have a harder time with some of that personally. Let's see. Gally May said, oh, you've been a member for 1 month. Awesome. Love your insights. Sorry, I almost missed this. No, I'm glad you're here. I'm so happy you showed up. Um, let's see. All right. Let's see here. Duty Ron. Let's see. Oh, hey, Duty Ron. Hello, Dr. G. Love your channel. Would enjoy to have you join me as a guest one day. I would love to. That'd be great. Thank you so much for coming on. Yeah. Yeah. Please let me know. We'll coordinate, but I would love to be a guest. That'd be really cool. Um, so yeah. So thanks for being here. Um, see, Debbie said, Dr. G, may I email you? Sure. Yeah, you can email me. That's fine. Um, let's see here. Planted Garden said, I agree, Dr. G. If someone has a propensity to violence, they're going to be violent. Yeah, let's see. Rihanna B said, I play violent video games all the time. I don't feel dangerous or violent. Yeah, I think that if someone has empathy, if someone has the ability to care, that they're resistant to being affected negatively by violent video games and those sorts of things. So and statistically, even though there's been a lot of wild things that have happened in the news and all of that, I mean, statistically, I think that violent crime is actually down now from where it was like 20, 30 years ago. And violent video games are way more violent. That's for sure. So anyway, C Mountain Meemaw says, thanks for your response. Go Dogs. Thank you very much. Yes, go Dogs. Then let's see, Danielle Marseco. I know I'm butchering y'all's names, by the way. Like, I'm perfectly clear that part of my ADHD is that, like, one thing is I can't understand lyrics when I listen to music, and I also, like, when I'm doing things like this, I butcher names constantly. And I don't know if anybody else here that has ADHD has that issue, but, like, I can understand, like, some music, obviously, if it's like the Beatles or something really clear, but generally, like, if you let me hear a song, I can't understand anything that they're saying. It's really weird. But that's just a processing issue I have, I suppose. Dr. G, are you following the suitcase murder? I can't wait for her trial. Yes, I am following the suitcase murder. I did one, I think I've only done one video on her. I was thinking about doing a video analyzing her letter, and then maybe she'd write a letter about me analyzing her letter. But yeah, I'm following her case for sure. And I don't know if it'll ever get to trial because I think she's on her 8th attorney now, maybe 7th. I can't even keep track at this point. It's just wild. It's really, really wild. Um, I couldn't watch much of Chad Dorman, but I totally watched Dr. G analyzing him. I did one video on Chad Dorman. That's a hard one. I mean, that one really is. I had to be very careful with how I edited it because it was really distressing hearing the mom screaming and stuff. That's a tough one. I wouldn't, and yeah. So let's see. I'd like to thank you for recommending the Recovery Addict channel. I love it. Fantastic community and host. I love your channel too. Yeah, everybody, that is yeah, everybody should check out Recovery Addict. See, Duty Ron said, I'll email you. Yes, thank you. Please do. And for anybody that needs to email me, I don't care if I'm saying my email publicly. It's drjpgarrison@gmail.com. Anybody can feel free to email me if there's something they need. It's on my website, so it's not like it's hidden or anything like that. And the amount of trolling sort of emails is pretty minimal, so it's all good. Shelly P said, do you think Governor Ron DeSantis is on the autism spectrum? I don't believe that he's on the autism spectrum. Not that I've seen. Let's see here. All right. So extreme integrity is Duty Ron. Yeah, I hope I'm sure Duty Ron and I will be able to work something out. I think that would be really cool to be on that channel. Let's see. Kai McDougal said, I've got ADHD and I don't have that issue with music. Definitely with the names, though. Interesting. Yeah, but that's the thing. With ADHD, we've all got processing issues of some kind or another. Obviously, I don't have issues processing what I see visually or when people are talking. It's just music. It's the weirdest thing. And also playing music. I tried to learn the guitar once, and I literally couldn't do it. I don't know why. Like, I love music, but I literally could not play the guitar. And I tried really hard to learn it. I couldn't even do the most basic stuff. I have no idea what that is, but that could also be because I've been boxing for 30 years and I've been punched in the head a lot. So maybe I've got too many concussions. See, my 2 now grown sons play lots of violent video games, watch violent movies. Both of them were loving, caring, humane men. Yeah, I understand people's concerns with it, but I think that the research shows that being that it doesn't seem to impact people's empathy or ability to care and all that stuff. So I think we're pretty good on that front at this point. Eileen said, and I promise I really won't try butchering your last name. Actually, you know what? Forget it. I am going to try. Vasharis. To Dr. G, today is my birthday. I've thoroughly enjoyed all your videos so much. You are delightful. Thank you, Eileen. Well, I appreciate you taking time on your birthday to watch me talk about all of this stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And happy birthday. Let's see here. So I'm going to stay on for just a couple more minutes. Let's see. And let's see. Lori Davis said, happy birthday, as did Dominique. Yes, happy birthday. It's always cool when people, and so did SL Conley. It's always cool when people join me on a holiday or something like that, I think, or their birthday. It's always a joy to me to be able to do that. I love that you love boxing. Very interesting. Yeah, I've been boxing for a very long time. I'm also trained in kickboxing and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I'm a very competent mixed martial artist. But I'm not getting any younger, so those days, are probably somewhat numbered, but I'm going to keep practicing it until I just can't anymore. See, Nicole Hernandez said, wow, I just realized you're close to me. I'm in Dahlonega. I'd love to try and schedule something with you for my son. And if you see adolescents, I do indeed. Feel free to email me if you'd like. And Dahlonega, for those of you that don't know, Georgia is fairly close to I'm north of Atlanta, and Dahlonega is not far at all. Dahlonega is nice country out there. Let's see. Dr. G, could Lucy let me have multiple personalities? I find that extremely unlikely. So it's always possible, but I haven't heard anything that would make me believe that she in fact does. Let's see, have you covered the Dan Merkel case out of Florida? I have not covered the Dan Merkel case. Let's see. So I'll look up Dan Merkel. Let's see. See, Mickey Morgan said, "Oh my God, I'm same with music. Watch songs all the time. Thought something's wrong with me. Now I don't care if if so. I have something in common with Dr. G. Yeah, uh, it's the human mind is a weird thing, so you never know what sort of weird traits we're gonna have. Um, let's see, the doc is a man of many talents, just not musical ones. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, uh, I really tried to. I thought it would be really cool to learn to play like an electric guitar or something when I was younger, and it just wasn't in the cards. My family's full of very talented people who are very skilled with music, but not me. But that's okay. I don't have to be. See, hey Mona said, thanks for the live, Dr. G. I'm also I'm all in to have your wife solo answering questions about you. So what we're gonna do is I bought another microphone. And like I said, she's just too tired to join us today. But I'm gonna have her on the other mic and I'm gonna put up questions and I promise I'll do my best not to interfere. So you guys can get like a legit view of what I'm like or what I'm like to be around at home and all of that kind of stuff. I'm admittedly somewhat curious to hear what she's gonna say as well. So um see, and Eileen said, thanks for all the birthday wishes, everyone. I'm 61. Life gets better. I pray for all with depression, addiction, and other issues. We all have something. Be good to each other. That's a beautiful message. Thank you, Eileen. I appreciate it. Um, let's see here. Okay, so um, I took Japanese for a year and I speak it fairly well, but not fast enough to read that. So I'm sorry. Like I can't respond to that right now. Um, Jill said, "Thanks, Dr. G. See you next time. Happy Thursday." Yes, thank you as well. Um, oops, sorry. Is this your regular live time? That's what we're trying to figure out. I've done it at this time a couple of times, and I've been switching the days. I have the hardest time finding what's the best time for everyone. So for now, sure. But if I get a lot of feedback, people are like, "Hey, it would be better at this time or that time." I'm open. I'll do it whenever y'all want me to do it. Doesn't matter to me. Um, Deb K said came over from Recovery Addict. Well, welcome, Deb. Thank you. And you know, let's see. Infinite, are you a UFC fan, Dr. G? Yes, I am. And I don't want to bore everybody with this, but I am sort of a UFC fanatic. I know anything and everything UFC related, and I watch all of it. So, that's oh, let's see. Dr. G explains it was a troll. Okay. So yeah, I imagine it probably was, but anyway. Um, but yeah, so anyway, so I'm a UFC fanatic. Anybody that has any any UFC questions, Lord knows I could answer them. Recovery Addict said, "Hey Deb K, so glad that Recovery Addict is here. And I'm so glad that Deb K is here. It's really been wonderful to see everybody. Um, let me see here. Epic Exposure asked, "Can someone overcome PTSD and depression? I have those, have been feeling really happy lately." Um, yeah, people can overcome PTSD and depression for sure. PTSD is something I work with often with a ton. I've co-written a book on PTSD, so uh, absolutely 100%. PTSD and depression are treatable. Some people's can be a little more treatment resistant than others, but you can absolutely conquer and get through those issues. And I talk about narcissism you can manage but not treat. You can treat PTSD and depression. Those are things you can get rid of that and make them not come back. So absolutely. I always want you to be hopeful. Um, how could you troll Dr. G? That is not okay. Hey, I get very few trolls actually, so I feel okay. there's a troll here and there, but generally speaking, I'm pretty good at filtering them out. Um, let's see here. See, could you add Bruce Moylan into your list? There's a booking documentary called The Sweater Letter, a great true crime of the 80s. Yeah, sure. I'll look it up. I'm not familiar with that name clearly off the top of my head, but I will definitely check it out. Dr. G, I'm not sure if there's still interest, but I live in the same town as Natalia Grace. My wife is a therapist, worked, let's see, with her foster parents, was interested in hearing your thoughts. I've been thinking about doing one on her. I wasn't sure if there's interest either. That's really the only reason I haven't actually done it. Yeah, I would like to at some point. I probably will at some point. Let's see. Newske, Adam Newske says good evening, or at Adam Newske. Oh, you just say good evening to Adam Newske. I don't know where my brain is, guys. Sorry, it's been a long day. All right. Great to catch you live, Dr. G. I'll send you an email. Good night. Thank you, Duty Ron. Please do. Anytime, just send me an email. We'll communicate about it. That's just so you know, my book is a clinician's guide. So like, unless it's really dry and boring, I would not torture anybody to actually read that book. It's just used by clinicians that are working with veterans with PTSD. So I appreciate the asking, but it wouldn't do you any good. I assure you, it's not. But I could find a good book for you to read that would probably help with PTSD. Let's see here. See, what is Dr. G's email? drjpgarrison@gmail.com, or you can go to drgexplains.com and it's listed on there. So, feel free to email me if there's anything you need. Let's see. Let's see. TK Love asked, as a body language expert, do you have a hard time trusting people and making deep connections with others? Not at all. I make deep connections with others very easily. I just can tell pretty quickly who I shouldn't trust. I feel pretty good at that. But for people that I do trust, I give them. I'm pretty good at spotting a con when it comes in front of me, or I'm pretty good at spotting someone who I shouldn't trust. So for the people I do trust, I'm good. So no, it does not, in fact, inhibit me in any way. It just means that, like, if there's someone that's a little sketchy, I'm going to keep them at arm's length. That's for sure. And I trust my judgment to do so. So, all right, y'all. Well, we will go ahead. If there's anybody, actually, hold on. Okay, so I'm sorry. I'll go ahead and wrap things up. I will end up doing this all night if I keep going. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up for today. I really appreciate everybody joining me here. If I didn't answer somebody's question, it is not because I'm trying to ignore it, unless it's something that's like obnoxious, and then I am choosing to ignore it. But most of y'all, if I've missed your question, it's just a matter of time or whatever. And hopefully next time I do another live, which will be soon, then we'll be able to chat some more. Let me just answer this one because I have to answer this. Dr. G, do you love or have animal friends in your home? I do. I'm going to show you. I don't know if this will show very well, but I have a couple of French bulldogs, and I will show you. Here's one of them, right? Here's one of them. That's Donut. So that's one of my dogs. And then, sorry, I'm going to be one of those annoying pet people and show you pictures of my animals. But, and here's my other Frenchie. His name is Iggy. Let's see. I don't know if y'all can see that, but he's white, so he's kind of not showing up on my phone. But there's Iggy and Donut. So I'll post some of them maybe on on my channel at some point so people can get a better shot. But your dogs look like you. Yeah, I would like to think so. I think they're lovely, so I will take that as a compliment. But yes, I do. I love my dogs, and I just silly little dogs that sleep on me every night, and we just hang out, and we're all sort of like to stay at home and chill. So, so we all work well together. But I hope that you all have a wonderful week, a wonderful weekend. Tomorrow, I'm going to be trying to release probably another Ruby and Jodi video that will hopefully be interesting. And, as always, yeah, like I said, I just appreciate you guys so much. And we will talk again soon. All right. Thanks, y'all. Please let me know if there are specific days and times that work better for you. I'll post something in the next couple of days on my channel. And if there's certain days and times you're like, look, this time sucks, I'd rather do this time, just let me know. We'll try to make something work. And next time I'll have my wife on here to say all sorts of interesting things about me, I'm sure. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Oops.